Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in New Vienna. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, January 14th, 2021, and I just realized I left my beer downstairs. Uh-oh. I also lost my camera. There's my camera. My camera just came back, but I had a nice Surly beer that I haven't had before ready for me. It's in the fridge downstairs, and I forgot to bring it. Oh well, that's okay. I'll have it afterwards. I'm actually going to have a Zoom call with some of my buddies, my running buddy, and my other friend, the one that lives down in Austin. I'll have it down then after dinner. But sorry about that. Now I was like, I didn't even bring coffee up today. I don't have coffee. I don't have a beer. This is like the worst happy hour ever. Well, at least beverage wise. I'm happy that you guys are here. Sorry about that. I just got so distracted right there. Everyone that's listening on the podcast version, audio only, hope you're having a good run today. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, welcome. Glad to have you guys here. If it's your first time here, everybody, let me know where you're coming in from. Thanks so much for checking out the live stream today. And it's pretty informal. So if you've got a running question, feel free to drop it in the chat anytime. And we'll get to it as part of the conversation today. If I miss it, feel free to put it in there like a second time, because sometimes I do miss some of the chat that's going on in there when I ramble. I apologize that I do that sometimes, but this is how it goes. All right. So we've got Carlos coming in with the first comment for today. What's going on, Carlos? And Philip wants to know, does anyone have experience with using baby food as fuel for long runs? 100-gram gel pack of it brings 13 grams of carbs to the table, and it's probably really easy on the stomach. Jonna says hi, and she's never heard of it before. Using the baby food. Seth does it. He uses the pouches that the kids have. I've used applesauce before, like the kids' applesauce that comes in those same pouches. You crack open the top and you just squeeze out. It's got the nice tube. Very easy to run with, very easy to use. They're a little bit bigger. There's a little bit more liquid to it. It might be good for like wintertime because I don't like to carry water in the winter. So it could be good there. The thing that I found out about them, though, they are easy on the stomach, but there's usually not that much salt in them. Kids' food tends to not have salt. And, I mean, I know a lot of gels don't have a lot of salt either, but I usually look for gels with salt in them. So that's the one thing that I would kind of be a little bit nervous about, but they are pretty cheap. And my kids will go in spurts in terms of things that they like. And I know we're not talking pure baby food, but we're talking like kind of like kids food, and we'll stock up on stuff that they are like just going through like real fast, and then they'll just all of a sudden stop eating it. So we'll end up with lots of extra stuff. And so that's my like dad duty, is to like eat all that. So sometimes I take it for a run, but not frequently. They haven't been like that too much lately. Although we have a lot of like those pouch yogurts, the ones that don't need to be refrigerated. We have a lot of those. So they're like half yogurt, half fruit puree. We have a lot of those, but I don't think those would be good on a run. Ines is here, says hi, Kobuzi, and everybody. What's going on, Ines? And Frank wants to know, what other YouTuber do you guys think would be the closest to Ko in like a 10K or half marathon race? I think Emily would probably be the closest to me. She's pretty, I think her speed is pretty close. Ed Bud is pretty close too. So those two are pretty close to me. I'm trying to think. Everyone else is faster. A lot of people are a lot faster, and that's okay. Chris Smith says hello, everyone, and David Prabhu says good afternoon, all. What's going on, David? Good to see you again. Casey A says it's almost Friday. Getting prepped for the Friday long run tomorrow. You do your long runs on Friday? Fridays I've been using for my recovery runs because I like to do my long run on Saturday. And Friday tends to work out really well, like life-wise, because like by the end of the week, you're just like coasting in on fumes, just trying to get to the weekend. So Friday is a great day to have a much shorter run for me and really my lifestyle, I guess. So I've been liking that. I would love to be able to get in a nice long run on a Friday, though. That's a great way to kick off the weekend. But good for you, but that doesn't work for me, not usually anyway. Runner Dre says hi, all. And we got me. He says, woo-woo. Evening from Slovenia. Welcome. And awesome. Coming in from Slovenia. Revs91 says, hi, everyone. Very cool. And Stevie76 says, forgot I applied for the 2021 London Marathon last October. It's like an email reminder that the ballot results will be announced next month. Oh, okay. Awesome. hopefully you get it. Dr. Josh is here in the long run. Says, what up, fam? Good to see you. I saw he posted a picture today, like a Throwback Thursday picture. I don't know if you guys saw that, of him from when he first got to Portland, the airport, or in the Eugene area, or I think it's Portland, right? And he didn't have the big mustache. I mean, he had like a kind of like facial hair, but he didn't have the big mustache. And I was like, who is this guy on this Instagram channel? It took me a second to figure out what was going on with the photo. It was amazing. Luis Becerra says, yo, what's going on? Stevie76 saying, what up, fam? Over to Josh. Good to see you. Both of you guys here. JC says, hoping to be able to stop in during work. All right. Well, I mean, I'm pretty good at distracting people from work these days. That's kind of like the main thing that I do, I guess I could say. Jody says, good day, everyone. Mark Sanderson is here. Awesome. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit, see what we got in here. Martha says she used a 20% off promo from referring Shannon to Jackrabbit, where the Boston 9 was on sale, on a second pair of Endorphin Speed and Jackalope colorway, and just got them. Oh, very cool. That's awesome. 20% off of the Endorphin Speed. That's a nice deal. Carlos says, what's the drink of the hour? It was supposed to be a Surly beer, Surly from the Surly Brewing Company, Surly Brewing up in Minneapolis, but I left it in the fridge downstairs, and as soon as I started the live stream, I was like, oh, I forgot my beer. So it's down there. I'll get to it later. It's okay. Luis Valda says, hi, Michael. First time here. Well, welcome, Luis. Hope you have a good time here and enjoy the live stream today. Scotty B just came in from a snowy run this morning and got his Nova Blast today. And he says they feel good while eating my snack. That's funny. That kind of reminds me of I've been watching a lot of content about the Ultraboost 21. It seems like today or yesterday was must have been either today or yesterday. I think it was today, but I started to see stuff late last night from people in Europe. So maybe that's what was going on, or maybe I saw it really early in the morning. I don't know, about the Ultraboost 21. So now all this content and images are out on it. Oh, and Natalie Tom thinking about it too. She's thinking do they look cool or not? But the thing is, I keep wanting to say I'm very excited to run into them. I think they look great. I'm very concerned about just how bulbous that back heel looks. It makes it seem more like the Ultraboost 19, which I didn't like, than it seems like the Ultraboost 20, which I did like. So it looks like a step in the wrong direction for me. But I'm kind of interested in this new propulsion, the torsion plate. I feel like what Adidas has been calling a torsion plate for a long time has been more than just torsion. It's been about more about actual carbon fiber-esque type of action. So I'm very interested to see that. But I also on the video, anytime I see a video of it, I want to be but how are they at going to the grocery store? I just want to kind of I don't know, I just kind of want to tease the people, a lot of the people that are very excited about Ultraboost as well, because it seems like I think the vast majority of people that are looking at Ultraboost 21 probably aren't runners, but hopefully it's a kind of a gateway shoe that gets people that are normally buying them for casual wear to be oh, I can run in these too. Maybe they'll run in them. So to answer the question from Natalie, I think they look good. I mean, I just watched Running Warehouse's video on it, Connor's video, and he had them in black. It looks nice in black. It looks really good in black, I think. I don't like the white and the yellow that is in all the other videos. I don't like that one. But I'm feeling good about the black one. I don't know if I'll try and get it right away. I think it comes out at the end of this month, January 28th, a couple weeks. But I'll probably get it. Maybe once things get a little bit warm up a little bit, maybe end of February. But I'll definitely get it. All right. Orm McGowan says, how do I get the podcast version? It's available anywhere podcasts are consumed, I guess is the right word. I use Anchor to distribute it, and Anchor pushes it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I don't know where else. It basically I think anywhere you can get a podcast, it should be there as well. Just look up Kofuzi Run Club, so it'll be there. And by the way, Oren, I know you and your entire family had a diagnosis, a COVID diagnosis today. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Mark Sanderson says Surly makes some good beer. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I kind of wish that they were like a Chicago brewery because I do like them a lot. I think they could give Revolution a run for their money. But you know, it's good to have. I mean, I'm not going to try and take anything away from Minneapolis. It's a great place to be. I think it's a great place to be a brewer as well. Jana says she used to do long runs on Wednesdays at one point. Just have more free times on Wednesdays then regarding school. Yeah, I'd like to try and get like one kind of like medium long run in during the week. Wednesday tends to be a day that works out for me in my schedule, so I try to do that too. But it just all depends on schedule, I guess. Yeah. Stevie76 has said George Foreman update because I wasn't sure the other day. We were just talking about him so much. About the Foreman Grow. And Stevie says he's alive and well, got his COVID. He got a COVID vaccine today. He has a statement. Just like I knocked out Joe Frazier, now science is knocking out COVID to become the champion. Oh my goodness. I want that as a meme. Like, can we have that like we need to have that as a meme, like him just from like the knock out the fat infomercial, but with that quote underneath it. Oh, I need that. I mean, come on, internet, we got to figure that out. And speaking of George Foreman grills, I don't know if they have one, but I was watching the Welsh Runners video today, or one. I don't know if it was today's video or one of his videos, but I don't know if it was him or someone, or if it was his wife or someone was making some sort of pressed like tortilla or panini type sandwich in what looked exactly like a Foreman grill. It might not have exactly been a Foreman grill, but it was two plates that are heated, that are slanted, that press down on each other. And I was like, Foreman grill. And I wanted to like put that in the comments, but if I did, I'm like, no one would understand what I'm talking about. But yeah. But he did also mention in that video, he's like, yeah, I drank a lot of squash today. And I was like, oh, I remember now. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. He said he had a lot of squash. I'm like, what is that? Then I was like, I remember, because someone once asked me in the live stream here, like, what's my favorite flavor of squash? And I was like, butternut. I like butternut squash. I'm not a big fan of acorn squash. I thought it was literally about squash, but it means something. It means like soda or something like that, right? I don't know, but it doesn't mean root vegetable like I thought it did. Bryce Blankenfield says, I keep wondering when you're going to be like Ginger Owner and make your own music for your videos. Bryce, that is something that I would love to do. That's if there's ever a time like that Kofuzi gets a studio or a studio type space where I could have more room. I mean, right now this space is 2 TV dinner trays set up by a window. That's my space. So anytime where I get more space than that, and I can get like a keyboard and maybe one of those like MIDI tools where I can also have like sampler things on it. Like I'd want one of those as well. I'd love to be able like a looper and also like just a sound sampler. I'd love to be able to do and just play around with it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think my sound would be very different than Ginger Runners is very like 80s synth, which I love. And yeah, I would never pair it for trail running, which is what he, his kind of like main milieu is, but he makes it work just so well. He's so good at it, but I'd love to be able to do that. I was trying to get Michael Krychek, I don't know how to say his last name, at Atreyu to start making music for his social media content, because apparently he's like classically trained as a pianist, I think. Like one day I was watching him like just play on a keyboard like at the Atreyu like storage unit or whatever it is where they're working out of, and but he has some musical training as well, or aptitude. Yeah, there's a lot of musical runners out there, so I would love to be able to do it. I just don't have space. So my mom, if she's here, she sent us money one year so that I could buy a keyboard for my daughter. It's like an Asian rite of passage for one of her birthdays a couple years ago, but we never bought it because we just don't have room to put it anywhere. Yeah, I mean, my kids, they are very good. They're like me. They're very good at expanding and taking up space. And so like the moment there is like a free ledge, shelf, space where something can be put on it, they'll find they'll put some Legos, they'll make something out of Legos and like stake the claim to it, or make some sort of art craft. So like there's no place for us to put like a keyboard in our house. So like, my wife and I have been talking a lot about how, having been here somewhere where there's more space for the past 6 or 7 months, we're like, maybe we've outgrown our space in Chicago, but we'll see when we go back. We'll see how we feel cramming back into it. Sean Marshall says, I followed Ethan's IG for like 6 months before I realized he was Ginger Runner. It's a slightly different aesthetic, but like, you didn't know it was him in there? That's crazy. That's funny. CJ Cruz says, any cushion sock recommendations? I don't like the running socks that are very thin. What category should I look for? Well, a lot of the running sock brands make light cushion, medium cushion, or like plush. So they make them in different grades of like padding. If none of the running brand, I've been really enjoying Stance socks for some reason. I just love them. I also have a pair of over the calf socks from East Bay, the like sporting catalog company. That I've been like, anytime that they're clean, I've been grabbing them just because they're great for winter running, and they have like a medium amount of padding. I also recently bought a pair of very thick padding over the calf socks from Darn Tough, which is one of my favorite sock brands, made in the USA, lifetime guarantee. Socks are darn tough, and darning is a play on words because it's like a knitting term, I guess, but Darn Tough. So those are like some brands and some socks that I've really liked. Let's see. Connor Atwood says, would you recommend the Brooks Levitate 4 for all-around training for track? Connor, I don't have experience with a Levitate 4, but it's got that shiny Brooks midsole foam, doesn't it? I forget what it's called. It's the DNA Loft. Is it that one? But it seems to me every year it looks great. I feel like it's one of the better, except for the shininess of the midsole. That's weird. But like the upper looks great every year. And every year I'm like, ooh, hopefully they've made it lighter. Then I might try it. But it always seems to come in very heavy, which for a lot of we were just talking about Ultraboost 21, going to come in at a whopping 12.5 ounces. But for the track, I think it might be a problem to have a shoe that's a little bit heavier. So I would look at the weight on that Levitate 4. And I think there's a reason why you don't see a lot of videos about the Levitate 4. It looks great, but I don't think a lot of people love it. I'm not sure. I know that there's diehards, but I don't know any of them. So that's the thing. I'm not sure about that one. Jody says, have you ever done a Max HR field test? I did one like with the Polar watch. I'm not wearing it now, so I'm just pointing at my wrist. But there was one where it was just basically like every so many seconds you had to run a faster pace until you ran till you couldn't run anymore. And so it ended up being like maybe 2.5 miles for me, and I stopped at like 5-minute 40-second pace, like my mile pace. It was brutal. Because it starts out easy. You start at like 7-minute pace, which is not slow, but not like you're not going to be dying off of that. And then you end up like running as fast as you can, and then it gives you like a heart rate number. Mine was like I think 181, if I remember that correctly. But I've not been, I was using the wristband heart rate. Again, it's not on, so I'm just pointing at my arm. But I had the armband heart rate monitor on for it, so I feel pretty confident. That's pretty accurate. Lucy Taylor says, squash is a concentrated juice that you dilute with water. We call it diluting juice in our house. Okay, juice? I thought it was soda. Okay, juice. That makes sense. Squash, concentrated juice. That, of course. That's what I like about like British kind of like colloquialisms or slang. It's always like 2 degrees separated. So to get to like what things mean. So it's kind of like this, which is like that. That's why we call it this. That's how it seems to be with a lot of British slang. Sean Marshall says, in terms of being taking up space, I explode when I arrive at travel destination. Oh yeah, yeah. I totally do too. Because like when I get to somewhere, I want to use all the furniture. I want to put all my clothes into the drawers. I want to know I want to put my shoes in the closet. I put the bag away. I just want, and then I end up just like vomiting all over the room, like figuratively speaking. So traveling's hard for me. I always lose something when I come back from traveling because I've spread out so much. Yeah. Will Willing says, "What I understand the benefits of a threshold run, but what about running above threshold limits? Are there benefits? I ran in zone 5 for almost 18 minutes yesterday." Yeah, I mean, so there's I think two physiological points that I think are important to run at. One is your threshold, and then there's another one that's your VO2 max or like your V.O2 max. So the point at which you're not consuming. Even if you were breathing hard, your body is absorbing as much oxygen as it possibly can, as fast as it can. So training above that, so VO2 max intervals, which I believe are usually somewhere like a little bit around like mile pace efforts, are the ones that are going to help you with that. And the idea with those, my understanding is to make it so that way, what you currently is your max kind of like absorption rate of oxygen can improve, so you can take in even more oxygen. So that's the idea with those. But if you're running at that for 18 minutes, I would check the heart rate monitor on that one, or recalibrate what your zones are, because you might just have like really high heart rates, and so like what like an app is telling you zone 5 might not be your actual physiological zone 5. So that's something that I would check on. And I mean, it's analogous to like when people say like, yeah, I went on like a 12-mile threshold run or a 13-mile threshold run or a tempo run, and they're defining tempo as threshold. I'm like, how is that physiologically possible? Because if you're equating like your threshold or your anaerobic threshold as being somewhere between half marathon PR and 10K PR, how can you do it at 13 miles? It doesn't, by definition, it doesn't make sense. But I mean, I think tempo is a word that people like mess around with frequently, but also like running in zone 5 for 18 minutes. If you're doing it in one stretch, I mean, if you're doing it total longer, that's one thing. But if you're doing it in one stretch, I would check the heart rate monitor. But if you did do that, amazing, pretty amazing. More power to you. Yeah, and Dr. Josh is telling us true VO2 max, you can only hold for about 10 minutes, about your 3K pace. Yeah, okay. So I was almost close. I said mile pace. 3K pace is quite a bit different, but yeah. That's why I'm glad you're here, John, keeping me honest with some of these numbers. RIC is saying, maybe you're doing it 3 minutes 5 times during an interval session. That makes sense. I could see that. Yeah. But he says, and that'd still be pushing whether you're making adaptations or just pushing too hard. Yeah, that's another thing too. That'd be a lot. That'd be a lot of time up there. Where was someone was saying? Oh, Carl J was saying, at least in cycling, VO2 max intervals are usually done in the 3 to 8 minute range. Not sure if that holds with running though. Okay, let's get to, that makes sense. Well, that makes sense though, because then RIC is saying like if you're doing 3 minute intervals. Yeah. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Let's see. The Mad Titan Productions asks, is the regular Peg 37 good in the rain? Please someone answer. I think it's pretty good in the rain. It's got a pretty robust outsole. I in fact think that it's a little bit there's just too much of it. It seems like they're really emphasizing it for durability or like wet condition grip. Like maybe you're running in the grass in it too. So like I think that it's pretty good. It seems to be like a beefier outsole than I remember on any other like non-shield or non like Gore-Tex Pegasus. So I would say it's pretty good in the rain. I mean, if it's freezing rain, like icy, I don't know if it would still hold, but for the rain, yeah, I'd say it's good. Yeah, and Jody says about like the threshold comment that I was making is like if you're doing more than 45 minutes at threshold, then you're probably not doing threshold. threshold is your max race pace over an hour. That's kind of where I peg it, you know? And so like when people are saying that they're doing like really long threshold work, and I'm like, how are you defining threshold? Are you sure? Because I feel like that can't be right. But, you know, I try not to like, I mean, I assume that they're meaning something different. I try not to like nitpick at other people's training programs. Mike House says, anyone going to register for the Chicago Marathon 2021? I keep forgetting to do that. I got to go do that. At least, you know, put my name in and stuff. What was I looking at? I was looking at something on Twitter today, and some people were talking about how they don't feel that confident that Boston is going to go this year in the fall. And it seemed like, I mean, there weren't that many people replying back and forth, but it seemed like a consensus amongst those people. And I was like, really? I'm thinking it'll go. I don't know. I just feel confident that even though vaccinations aren't really moving very quickly now, I am optimistic that, you know, by June things will be looking up. I kind of need that, you know. I mean, I'm mentally preparing myself for if it's not the case, but like, I really want things to be like I want the world to be in a much better position by June. That's my hope. Aaron Montgomery asks, Kofuzi, do you have any more thoughts on the Beacon 3 since you got them? I'm thinking of getting them. Thanks. I mean, I think it's still staying pretty steady in terms of my initial take on them. I really like them. They're great. I feel like the black and white that they chose like very dark black and very crisp white, almost like a glossy white for the outsole and the midsole and outsole. It makes the shoe kind of look a little bit funny for winter running for some reason. I don't know what it is about it, but other than those like minor aesthetic choices, I really like it as a daily trainer. It's a lighter weight daily trainer. I feel like I don't remember the stack heights off the top of my head, but it feels like a thinner midsole shoe. So like if you're looking for a little bit more of a closer to the ground experience, a little bit more of that road feel that people talk about, I think that the Beacon 3 is a good choice. I also feel like someone was asking about the Brooks Levitate earlier. I would rather have the Beacon 3 for doing all of your track work, and if you're doing some other road work as well, that would be a good one. But the Beacon 3 wouldn't probably be my favorite if I had to do a lot of running on grass. So in that sense, maybe it's not a great choice. But then the Pegasus that we've been talking about could be a good one, even though that one is heavy. I think it's over 10 ounces for the 37, which I felt like was a little bit heavier than it should have been. Yeah. Let's see. Someone was saying they just picked the 37. Sean Marshall is almost guaranteeing better world coming. I hope so. I'm particularly nervous about what's going to happen next week. I'm kind of like been joking to everyone that like I'm going back to Chicago to prepare for the apocalypse that's going to happen next week. Or maybe not apocalypse. Maybe that's very ethnocentric of me to say that's apocalypse, but the revolution that's going to happen next week potentially, or the uprising. Just really trying to get past next week first, and then hopefully things will improve. But I mean, Sean, if you're guaranteeing it, I'll take that bet. Martha says the BAA should require proof of vaccination, and a lot of airlines will probably require that, I hope. I think the airlines will. So like to get there, how are you going to get there, you know, for a lot of people? So I don't know. Christian says a Boston vaccinated only marathon. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it should be like, what were those? We've talked about this before. Like every immigrant has a booster on their, like a mark on their arm, because there was a booster shot and it would leave a scar. And so you could tell who was, I mean, at least immigrants that came over in the 80s, like I did with my family. And so like, I feel like they should almost do, I mean, I'm not saying we should physically mar people or brand them, but like, I wish there was a way that you could just be like, yep, boom, there's my vaccination, you know, that'd be kind of nice. Yeah. Travis says he's not sure about the Chicago Marathon. Their cancellation policy is horrible. Is it? I'll have to look at that. I thought I got a refund for this year, but that might have just been like, that's what they're doing this year. And next year maybe this year they're doing something different. Lewis M says, hey, everyone, long time no live chat. Hope everyone's having great runs. Yeah, awesome. Welcome back, Lewis. Good to see you again. Carlos Seja says, what do you think about getting the Peg 34 or the 35? Or is it just better to get the 37? I would say if you're looking back at older Pegasus, I would get the 36. That was probably my favorite of all those four. The 35 was probably my 35 was probably my least favorite of all those. The fit was just a little bit off, and the material was a little bit hot. I just didn't like. I didn't love the material of the 35. It looked good. It looked a lot like the 36, but I feel like the 36 fixed all those problems. The 34 was also pretty good, so I would get the 34 or the 36. The 37 is also good too. But like if you're looking to either save a couple of bucks or like you don't love what's going on with the React, then there are other options out there for you for sure. David Lidstone took his Zoom Fly 3s out. Amazing in the snow slush today. Feet didn't get wet. Awesome. Very cool. That it's a vapor weave on that one, right? Very cool. And Rick Sutter just picked up the Pegasus 37 Shield for wet weather running. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's intended for. And that's, I mean, how is it? The 36 for mine, I just felt like it was firmer than the 36 regular in a way that made it not great. I only liked it when I was running on snow or on trail. And it was just it was the road version, not the trail version. So I just thought there was a little bit something wrong with it. I thought maybe it was me, but every time I ran in that shoe, it just hurt my feet. Man, not every time, but a lot of times. Oh, Josh is in Chicago? Oh, man, you got there too early. I won't be there until next week. Oh, well, I hope you enjoy the city. Oh, but I think you mean you're running in the Chicago Marathon. Yeah, I mean, that's when I first started watching your videos because you were doing some Chicago Marathon build-up videos. So I think that's when I first started watching your channel. And let's see, let's go up here. Sean Marshall talking about Remy, who's here today. Welcome, Remy. Remy had a really good post on Instagram today. Explains the 2-inch shorts a little bit differently than kind of the origin story that I thought. I just thought it's because he looks great in them, but a little bit different than that. So if you guys are following Remy or aren't following Remy, go check him out on Instagram. It was a very good post. Thank you for sharing that. All right. That running guy, what's going on? He says, in the UK, I can't see any races happening this year. I don't know, but I feel like in the UK, you guys were having races. Like, I mean, at least I saw people racing. And I felt like, I mean, Ben Parks was doing some racing. And it was weird, because you guys were like, you'd go to like a table and no one would hand you, you'd go pick up your bib, and then you'd kind of like start in these weird like groups of 4 or 6, these weird socially distanced corrals and stuff. So I felt like you guys were doing it. But I mean, I guess you guys are locked down now too, at least for the next short term. So I don't know. I feel like you guys as a country prioritize running races. So like, I feel like you guys will probably get it back. I mean, first, as far as bigger city races. I mean, there's places in the U.S. that are still doing races, but yeah. But I hope you guys that conditions improve over there for you guys soon. Alan Shrimpton said he did a lab test and said the LT2 was 4 minutes 8 seconds per kilometer, but I doubt I can hold that an hour. So I think even laps can be misinterpreted. All right. Is that okay. Yeah, but I mean, could you hold it for like 45? That's like a 6:30 per minute per mile, right? So, because 4 minutes is about 6:26. So, or 6:23, somewhere in that area. So like 4:08 is like 6:30-ish, I think, but maybe you can hold that for 45, or at least your aerobic system is able to hold that. So it's kind of, maybe it is right, Alan. It's giving you a nudge, telling you to go for it. Maybe you can hold it for 40, because I think of it as the threshold number as something that you can hold between like 45 minutes to an hour. And I usually think that like 45 minutes to an hour is part like genetics, like how well are certain people adapted to it, like naturally. But I also think a lot of that is the mental training too. So, Alan, I think you got some work to do in a good way, so go after it. I don't think it's that wrong. I'm going to say it's not that wrong. Yeah. And RIC says there is a difference between threshold zone and what you can maximally do for a while. Well, very, very good distinction to make as well. Yeah. All right. And now, let's see, what do we got down here? Sorry. And Alan says his half marathon is 94 minutes, which is 4:27. Okay. So then if your threshold is 4:08, I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, what is your 10K then? Probably about, your 10K is probably like right around 4:08 then, maybe? All right. But I mean, I don't think any of these numbers sound completely crazy, Alan. So I think that it's a signal from the running universe telling you that like you got this in you. You can do it. The Mad Titan production says, "Will running in the rain tear my shoes? Tear? It shouldn't. I mean, I'd be really surprised. I mean, I've heard, people used to tell me that a lot. When I first started reviewing like the Shield version of the shoes, when I first started running in the winter, people will tell me all the time in comments on YouTube that like I ran in the rain in these shoes and they fell apart. Or like, back in Chicago, I was I run by the lake and my feet get wet quite a bit. Sometimes a lot of times I intentionally get them wet. And people were like, why would you do that on purpose? My buddy ran in the rain in his Ultraboost and then they fell apart the next day. And I'm like, you sure? So like, I think, I mean, it's 2021 or your shoes are from 2020 or 2021. That shouldn't be happening if you're buying like proper running shoes. Rendell Sylvain Hernandez says, bonjour to everyone from Ottawa, Canada. First time here. Welcome. Thanks for your content. Kofuzi helps a lot here in our lockdown. Well, I didn't know that Ottawa was in a lockdown. My main source of information for what's going on in Canada comes from Triathlon Terran. So I think I haven't heard too much of what's going on in Winnipeg lately. I think I missed the last couple of his videos, but yeah. But I felt like no. Yeah, he's been working out. Him and his wife have been making some very cute workout videos. It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah. But hopefully your lockdown is short, but hopefully it's very effective. Christian says, Batman doesn't have indestructible running shoes. What's this world coming to? I think you're referring to the Mad Titan production. His avatar is Batman. Yeah, I mean, what are Batman's shoes made out of? Like whatever that material the rest of his like suit is made out of, right? So like, I wonder if those are good to run in or not. I don't know. Bryce Blankfield says, I run all 4 seasons in Minnesota. I never had a shoe fall apart. I mean, I'm with you. It's really funny when I hear that kind of stuff on online, and I'm like, I try whenever I have like someone make a comment like that, I try to think of it like, oh, is this person 12? Maybe this person is 12, because that sounds like the logic of a 12-year-old. Like maybe they heard a story of someone in their school where a bad event happened, or maybe someone's trashing a shoe that like they couldn't afford or whatever, and now they're just trashing it because they feel bad or whatever, and that translates into my best friend ran in these once in the rain and then they fell apart. So I'm like, that's what I assume a lot of times when I get like kind of like weird comments like that. I'm like, that person's probably a 12-year-old kid, which I think happens. I don't know. I feel like the more and more like this shows on the channel where it's like a middle-aged man with like gray hairs in his beard is on the camera, I feel like I'm like pushing away like the tweener and the teenage viewers, which I'm not trying to do that, but it makes sense. I can see that I might not have an appeal to kids that are literally young enough to be my kids. So that's that. Yeah. So that's kind of like, I try to take that with a grain of salt whenever I hear those things. Not that and people like David Lidstone, who's watching, who is a kind of not that he's 12, but he's younger. I appreciate you guys watching. I love it that you guys are here. Mark goes, I thought tweener was a shoe that SJD makes. Yeah, I mean, is that what he calls, like, that's what he calls his, like, his crossover shoes or his commuter shoes? Commuter shoe is like the weirdest term for a running shoe, because like you're literally not using them for commuting, because unless you're commuting on a trail, but anyway, but I think that's what he calls his tweener. He calls them tweener, or does he call tweener something else? I'm not sure. Stevie76 says, though, his appeal transcends his gray hair. Well, you've unlocked the secret then. Yeah. And Carlos says, no, you're not. You're definitely appealing to me. All right. Well, thanks, Carlos. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. Let's get a couple more before I got to get going for today. Sean Marshall says, Mike, how much nostalgia do you think comes into your memory of past shoes? A ton. I think I started saying this when the Clifton 1 was re-released, and I tried it, and I was like, I don't get it. It was the first Clifton I ever ran in, and I was like, I don't know. I was almost a pure Nike guy then, like, at least in like that decade, I hadn't run in anything other than Nikes up till then, and I tried like the Clifton 1 re-release, and I was like, what is this? And I then was like, I think nostalgia is the softest midsole, and that's why everyone that loved the Clifton 1 like says that about the Clifton 1, or at least about the re-release too. That they were like, yeah, it's not the same. There was something different. They were like, there was a different insole that came with it, or there was just something else different about it. And then there's lots of other explanations, like, well, you have to remember its historical context. So then it was like evaluating a piece of like fine art. Somehow you have to understand like the social context in which it was created. So it's weird. But I think nostalgia comes in a lot. I mean, I tell people all the time, my favorite shoe is a Pegasus 33 Shield. It probably was not the best shoe ever. I don't think that I knew enough shoes to make the claim to call any shoe a shoe of the year at that time. But it was my favorite, and it still is one of my favorites because there's a lot of nostalgia to it. So I think that comes into play. And that's why I'd like to do, when I do my versus videos, I like to have like a run in those two shoes, like specifically for that versus video, even if it's a shoe that I ran in like 4 or 5 times already, and I'm very familiar with what it's like, because I just think there's memory. Like even when people ask me about like the Nova Blast, I think it keeps getting better over time when I'm talking about it because of nostalgia. I enjoyed it, but now I'm like, yeah, that was a good shoe, wasn't it? That just keeps kind of happening. So like, yeah. So I think nostalgia comes into a lot. So I try to like be aware of that when I like compare shoes, especially older shoes. Ben Browning says, did you see Ben Park's video on getting his 10K into the low 30s? I did watch that one. That was a good one. He's been putting out a lot of content. I feel like he made like a resolution to like make more videos. I mean, I think he mentioned that was one of his goals as well in his like 2021 goals video. But like he's been putting out a lot more content, and we're all luckier for it. Adam JK says, sorry for yet another Peg 37 question, but how do you think they'd hold up in a half marathon? I think they'd be great. I think they're a great choice for the half marathon. I feel like the 37 strikes me as a little bit more of like a speedier everyday trainer type of shoe. And I think for racing with them in a half marathon, I think it'd be a really good choice. My second marathon I ever ran, I ran in a pair of pegs. It was a Peg 33, I think. I ran the 2017 Chicago Marathon in. And it was great. It does really well. I mean, I think that Pegasus, whatever year that one was a little bit softer than the Peg 37 is. But again, you're looking at half marathon. There's going to be a little bit more speed, a little bit more forces in it. You got React. I think it's going to be a good combo. I mean, it might not be my first choice. I'd probably pick a racing shoe, but like if you're looking for a shoe to train in, and then I want to train in it and then race in it, it's definitely something you could do. Okay, Mad Titan Production says, for Batman's shoes, it's tri-weave titanium coated armor plating. Well, of course, I didn't know that. I don't know if you're joking or if that's actually like canon somewhere, that's what his boots are made out of. But yeah, all right. Titanium coated armor plating. Tri-weave titanium coated. Okay, I'm going to try to remember that. I don't know that I will. I'll try. Joshua Cochran's here tuning in from Atoka, Oklahoma. Oh, I've never heard of Atoka, Oklahoma. Huh. One of my friends, his wife is from Tulsa. But I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of going there. I think it's Tulsa. They have what's called the shortest ultra marathon. If I'm remembering the race correctly, I think it's the Tulsa Marathon. There's like a point in the Tulsa Marathon, if I'm remembering this right, it's like at mile like 25 and a half, where you run like a little loop out further, and there's like a little like scenic lookout or something that you stop there. I think it's an echo point, one of those things too. And then you run back, and then you end up running like an extra like quarter mile. Does anyone know about that? Maybe I know I didn't make it up, but I'm not sure if it's Tulsa. Yeah. Oren says, what age are most people on the channel? I think I'm way younger than most. I think the average, whatever I think there's a demographic. It's like 13 to 18 is one demographic in the stats. And then I think it's 18 to like 24 or something like that. And then 24 to like mid 20s to late mid 30s, I think is the most. I think that's the most, followed by like, my age group, which is like the next bracket after that. And then I think third is like the younger group. I think that you fall in. So I think that's where it is. Carlos wonders if the Peg 36 is one of the most casually worn Peg running shoes. I think a lot of people wore the 35 a lot casually as well. I thought it looked really good as a casual shoe, even though it was probably the most uncomfortable. Maybe they were all sizing up. Maybe they were all smarter than me. Yeah, I think a lot of people wear the Peg. I think they wear them and they don't know what they are. They're just, like, hey, my wife bought me running shoes kind of thing. So I think that's probably because they're everywhere. The other thing is, Carlos, is there's a lot of shoes that Nike makes that every year look a lot like the Pegs. And I'm not just talking about the Wimflow. There's other ones that they sell in like Dick's Sporting Goods, not Foot Locker, but the other places that are just like the bigger box type of retailers that are like, they're made of, I don't know what even the foam is in them. It's just generic like EVA foam. They're not intended to be for running, but they're like running inspired, like those kinds of things. There's a lot of that too. So it's easy to like, sometimes I have to like look real close when I'm looking at people's shoes to figure out what do they got. Linus FTE says, I've been watching you since I was in Singapore and now I'm in Montreal, Canada. Always looking forward to the live stream. Well, awesome. Welcome from Singapore to Canada. Is that a common like transition? Are there a lot of are you originally Canadian or were you Singaporean in Canada? I wonder if that's a frequent like thing. Because I feel like certain cities have like their, not sister cities, but like places where there just seems to be a lot of people coming from certain different regions. Like in St. Louis, there's a lot of Bosnians. I think that's for like refugee and like war reasons, but there were a lot of Bosnians when I lived in St. Louis, or at least I knew a lot of them. But there's always something kind of like that in every city. All right. Very cool. Lots of people coming in from all over today. All right. And wait, let's follow up. Lina says, I'm Singaporean, but I'm here for studies. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Ayote Zin says, the edition 2 of Endospeed and Pro are out in China with seemingly opposite color design from the original edition. Really? Oh, man, I want to see some pictures of that. I didn't know that. I want to see, like, I don't like, I saw the pictures of like the throwback versions that are going to come out for, I think the Endorphin Speed at least. I don't know if a Pro is going to come out in the throwback version with that giant Saucony bird thing. It's a bird. It looks like a bird to me. I don't know what the Saucony logo thing is, but that giant Saucony thing, it looks like a pair of like the upper from like a Saucony Jazz on the midsole of an Endorphin Pro. Like I want that. That's definitely something I want to get. I think it looks great on, I want to get all of them. I want to get all my shoes in that like throwback version. So hopefully that comes out. Yeah. But I also think, if I'm not wrong, I thought they just released another color of the version 1 of the Endorphin Speed. Am I wrong on that? Did I imagine that? don't know. Yeah, Bo Christian said that vintage jazz look is coming to the pro. Ooh, yeah, I mean, it just looks so good. You know what they should have done? I mean, I don't think it has a gum sole, but if it had a gum sole, oh goodness, that'd be great. That'd be great. I feel like that is like the Saucony version of me wanting like the Kill Bill yellow Onitsuka Tiger to be like in a meta racer. Like I want the vintage jazz on. I mean, give me like a suede Saucony thing too on there. I'd take the extra weight for suede. And then put a gum sole on the bottom. It'd be so ridiculous, but it would look great. It would look great. It would look like you showed up in like casual shoes to run a race. Oh man. All right. Chris Yao says, all right, legit training question. All right, and we'll end on this one. Doing half marathon soon to close out my math session. Won't run it all under math, but all aerobic to use as a baseline or last 5K at or over threshold to see what's in the tank. I wouldn't run it all aerobic because you already know what your all aerobic is if you've been doing math, right? So or maffetone. So like I don't think that that's necessary, and I think that when when maffetone talks about like you should do all of your running at your maffetone number or easier. He also says, but like people that use maffetone race frequently. So, I mean, and I think what he means by race frequently from like a 5K, 10K person's perspective, not from a marathonist perspective. So I think that's perfectly fine. I think from like a pure maffetone perspective to run that last 5K at or over threshold to see where you are in that regard. So like, the other thing to do is, I mean, I don't know how close you are to your half marathon, Chris, but the other thing I might do is to just kind of feel it out a little bit, try and do some, I don't know if you have an idea of where your threshold is now, but try to do some threshold reps, like some 5 minutes at a time, some repetitions to see where you are and where that feels in terms of what your heart rate's doing. I don't know if you know about where your kind of threshold heart rate is. The only way that I found that out is from going above it and basically bonking at the Houston Marathon last year. So that's why I know mine is somewhere between 168 and 171. So, but then that kind of will also give you guidance if here's where maffetone number, here's your threshold, aerobic threshold number, here's where you should run your half marathon for your heart rate. So that's something that you can kind of start to figure out. So I might pick something in between kind of the two choices you laid out, all baseline or just last 5K fast, is try and pick something that you can kind of maintain throughout the entire time is something that I would consider. I'm not saying I'd recommend it, but I would consider it. And I don't know if you're on like Flora Skierman's like Facebook groups or whatever, but I think there's a lot of people over there that can help you out with pacing. I have only my own limited experience to work with in terms of pacing for that. So either way, good luck. Let me know how it goes. Let us all know how it goes. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. It started snowing here in Iowa, so I'm pretty excited about that. Lately, it's been warm, so we've been making snowmen because the snow's been getting wet and heavy. We have 6 snowmen and 2 snow dogs that we made out in the front yards. I'm exhausted because the kids are useless. They can't pick up any of these big giant snowballs. So I've been doing all the heavy lifting. And now we got more snow. So there's that. Tomorrow's video, hopefully I'll be able to, I might do one of 2 things. One, I'm going to try, I filmed for doing the Fresh Flow More versus the Peg Trail 2 Gore-Tex. I feel like that's a pretty good head-to-head, except for the fact that one is Gore-Tex and one isn't. But I feel like for use cases, I think that's a pretty good combo. I might put that video out tomorrow, or I might, Bert's been suggesting that I just do slow motion snow running footage and set it to music and make just a really long video, like a pointless video of just like snow running. So it might be that, depending on, I guess, how much fun I have on the Zoom with my buddies later tonight after dinner. So, there'll be a video tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet. And then tomorrow afternoon, we'll have another live stream, 3 p.m. Central Time, same time as today. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody.